on a holiday, and that too so early in the morning. Thank you, Arun. So, Mr. Arun Mamgai has about 2 decades of experience working with Fortune 1000 customers across industries, providing consultative solutions about digital transformation, data management, digital marketing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and marketing analytics. He is currently working with Red Hat as an enterprise sales executive responsible for selling digital transformation solutions to customers in the USA. In the past, he has worked with an enterprise data firm, Tibco Software Inc., and a few consulting and technology companies like Infosys, HCL, and Cognizant, solving data problems for retail, media and broadcasting, logistics, and healthcare industries. He is also a mentor with a leading institution, ADEI, and recently he has guided 12 startups to participate in an Africa-based angel investment fair, which is an annual event that brings together emerging businesses from across the African continent and global investors. In order to support diversity in the technology world, he actively participates with a non-profit institution, Tech Girls, to enable girls to become a future tech leader in the USA. He has bachelor's from Indian Institute of Technology, Banaras Hindu University, which is called as IIT Varanasi, master's from Middle Georgia University, USA, and full-time MBA from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. So I welcome Arun to this session on digital transformation and marketing analytics, the next generation solutions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Sharad. Thank you for the warm welcome, and looking forward to talking to students and having a interactive session. So let me first share my screen. Let me know. Okay, please confirm if you can all see my screen.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Perfect. Okay, so let me start. And even though Dr. Sharad has generously introduced me, let me just briefly talk about my profile. And yes, I have a very diverse experience working not only with the services or the consulting organizations, but also few large digital transformations product companies. So I started with Infosys, HCL, and technology, and Cognizant being part of their consulting and technology divisions. And then later on, I moved in US to working with Tibco and Red Hat. And over the past 2 decades, I got an opportunity to interact with many customers. I've listed few. Customers from B2B, B2C space, and then we have been solving their data problem, their digital transformations problem, as well as advising them how to be competitive in the market. And as part of those discussions, we got an opportunity to interact with the supply chain divisions of these companies, the marketing divisions of these companies, the customer operations groups, and that has provided some tremendous experience in terms of what the challenges are. And in the next 45, 50 minutes, I'm just going to share my point of view or the kind of trends, initiative, challenges we are seeing, especially for the marketing groups, with the digital transformations, with a lot of data being generated, and how those challenges could be an opportunity for the marketing group. And that's what I'm going to focus in terms of data decisions, data to decisions kind of scenarios. Okay. So in terms of the agenda for today's call, so I know digital transformation is a buzzword. So we're just going to spend some time that what does it really mean for the customers? What are the key capabilities we need to have for digital transformations? And as I mentioned, while working with many customers, what kind of marketing challenges we have seen? And just like we have fintech, now everyone talks about MarTech, marketing technology. So what kind of a next-gen solutions we're talking about for MarTech? What are the building blocks? I will also deep dive into some kind of a marketing analytics. And then let's spend some time on the Q&A. But let's keep it interactive. If you want me to focus on something else, talk more about my experience, absolutely, we can do that. But Dr. Sharad, does this agenda looks good?
Yes, yes, this is perfectly okay.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, so before we talk about digital transformations, let me spend a few minutes to really talk about digitizations, and digital transformation, because as I mentioned, digital transformations is becoming a buzzword. You know, anything we do on a digital channels becomes digital transformation, but that's not the case. And I think that's where it's very, very important to really understand what's the differences among these three. So digitization is all about converting any analog record to digital. And I will also give you very specific examples. You know, all of us call any customer care, and a customer representative from the organizations, if they rather than noting down the information on a record, if they use it as a digital, that becomes a digitization. So that's just to make that record available across different groups. Digitalization is more around capturing information, but capturing in a faster and an efficient way. And just to give an example, so if we call a customer care, and the customer care representative, they will already have some information in terms of what kind of a customer segment we fall into, what kind of past interactions we had with the organizations, so that customer rep could have more insightful conversations. That's what the digitalizations really means. But now let me talk about digital transformation. Digital transformation is just not one step, it's the entire process. And the process is adding value to the customer. Every step you take, you are adding value to the customer. And we're going to talk about that in the subsequent slide, but just wanted to highlight key differences among all three: digitizations, digitalizations, and digital transformation. And again, it's going to be a continuous process. You add value to the customer as part of digital transformations. You identify a new opportunity for digitizations and then come back. So that process continues. That's the reason it's very, very important to really understand how the entire process looks like. Now, in terms of the key capabilities for digital transformations, you know, that's, you know, becoming a buzzword. So without diving deep into details, you know, let me just highlight at the top what digital transformation really means, that how an organization's making their presence across the channels. And that's where the omni-channels presence, you know, how do you really break down the silos? And that's applicable for marketing, that's applicable for supply chain and all the groups. And we're going to talk about marketing in the subsequent slides. In order to make the presence across the channels, how do you make your products at the enterprise level? And that's where the integration becomes a key word. Data-driven intelligence, you know, any action you take for digital transformation has to be driven by data. That the most important the capabilities. And how do you make data secure? How do you make data accessible through data governance? And that's also an important part. Last but not the least, the customer experience. It has to be a customer-first approach. It has to be done in such a way that we empower our customers so that we can build a loyalty, we can build a community, and they provide direct feedback to us. So that's where it's very, very important to really understand it's not one step to make digital transformation successful. It's a journey. Now, how do I take this entire conversations into a marketing space? You know, so obviously we see a lot of data being generated. We see, you know, customers loyalty, you know, going down. We see a lot of, you know, request priorities being changing, or the demographics of the customers being changed. So that leads to challenges as well as an opportunity for the marketing. And that's based on our discussions with a few CMOs in the organizations I mentioned earlier. So when we talk to those CMOs or the marketing groups in those that how they are preparing themselves for digital transformations. What they really found out that there are it's just not about the making a campaign running on social channels. And again, that's where it's very, very important. If someone just feels digital transformation is running a campaign on social channels, we're talking about digitization or digitalization. But transformation is all about how do you execute, but then how do you expand? How do you synchronize it across all the channels? And then how you measure the effectiveness of those campaigns so that you add value to the customer, you add value to your organization. So the value becomes very, very important. So, the key challenges which organizations or the CMOs are facing, that how do you really build some kind of long-lasting connections with the customers? And that's where the community plays an important role. Marketing ROI, the budgets are going down, but there is a lot of expectations from CMOs to drive brand awareness, and how do they do more with less budget? And there is a lot of data, the abundance of data on the social channels. How do you leverage the data to really provide more meaningful examples? CMOs becoming as a business accelerator, and I would say that's the most important takeaway from this slide. CMOs are no longer the captive unit where they're just providing some campaigns to their end customers, but they are driving business. Social selling. As a matter of fact, Mintra, they recently started a social selling concept, and in order to make the social selling successful, you need to have influencers, you need to have the entire community, and all that has to be integrated with your enterprise system. So that's where it's very, very important to really understand how the transformation really works in a marketing space. I'm also checking my time just to ensure. But Dr. Sharad, just keep me honest in case I'm not late. I'm late. Just let me know, and I can skip a few slides, or I can move fast. Now, in
I'll
terms
remind
of
you 10 minutes in advance. Is that fine?
Perfect. That's great. Okay. Now, this is the quote from John Wanamaker, and I'm pretty sure you all are from the business school, so you have already seen it. But again, this is how the position, this kind of a position was marketing group, earlier, before the digital age. Now, the good part is with the new challenges, new opportunities are coming in, and we are able to, provide more meaningful details in terms of how marketing can provide ROI to the business. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is data that is being generated on social channels, and it's a very interesting slide which says data never sleeps. So in terms of, and again, we don't need to go through each and every slide or each and every section or social channels on this slide, but if I could just emphasize on terms of the growth, Twitter, in 2007, it was almost like 5,000 tweets in 1 minute. Now in 2021, it's almost like 575 tweets in one single minute. We talk about Amazon, $283 and 283,000 being spent on the channel. We talk about the YouTube and Netflix, the kind of content being consumed. And again, what this slide really means is there is a lot of interactions happening between these organizations as well as the end customers. And that's where the marketers or CMOs have an opportunity to listen, to empower their customers, to build loyalty with their customers, and start influencing the business of their companies. And that's what this really means. Now, there is a interesting study now from IBM and Gartner that with all that is happening around the world, obviously COVID has also exploded some of this unpreparedness as well as technology adoptions in the marketing world. In terms of the data explosion, it has gone up. So as a matter of fact, there is a 170 zettabyte of data that is being, released on a social channels, and that's just humongous. So how do you really listen to that data and start providing some, meaningful analysis of that? And we're going to talk about that in the, in the subsequent slide. But on the left-hand side, when IBM and Gartner, there are two different studies. When they did the study, what they really found out is CMO, there is with such huge amount of data that is being exploded, CMOs are unprepared. There is also constraint in terms of which channel to focus on. So if we talk about the omni-channel marketing, and we also talk about the devices. As a matter of fact, as per the recent study, at one single point of a single family in US, they hold almost like 11 devices. But you want to have a consistent experience across all the 11 devices in that family. So how do you really achieve that? And that's where CMOs are unprepared with some kind of HEPA compliances as well as GDPR guidelines from the Europe. How do you make privacy considerations? So that's also becoming very, very important. What you can promote, what you cannot promote, in what geographies you can promote. So all that becoming critical in order to really provide that kind of a consistent experience. And now, if on the right-hand side, if I see what kind of adoption is being driven by technology, obviously social media, that's given. But then once the organizations starts interacting with the customers on the social channels, how do you take data back? How do you take the data back into the organizations and start doing some customer analytics? Start including it with your CRM systems to really understand who is buying, who is not buying. What kind of a profile or what kind of a segments do you need to build in? What's their location? How do you really build that kind of a single view of the customer? Because if you know who your customers are, you, the sales team can strategize and have more stronger connections with them. So, and that's where the technology is really driving market adoption. So, as a matter of fact, there is also, I don't know if you can see the headline, but as per Gartner, by 2025, the CMOs will spend more on technology than the CIO. So right now it's almost like 3.2%, while CIO spends almost like a 3.4%. By 2025, CMOs will be spending more on technology than the actual CIO. So that's itself really emphasize that how technology is becoming more and more important in a marketing world. Now, let me talk about the MarTech, and that's where the solutions comes in. So until now, if I just take a step back, what we have discussed, that there is a digital transformation happening across industries, across groups within the organization. So with that digital transformations, there is challenges as well as opportunities for CMOs in terms of the kind of huge amount of data that is being generated, or the across channels or the devices. In order to leverage the opportunity, how do you really build a solutions, or how do you really build the entire the approach so that it can be a consistent experience to your customers? So I would say it's a three-pronged approach, or three important blocks for any enterprise campaigns. So at the bottom is all about your content creation. So, and again, that's where it's very, very important to deliver, in order to deliver a consistent experience to the customers, that there is a continuity or a closed loop, so that the feedback from one campaign is being included into the future campaigns, because that's where the closed loop is important. But so just to again talk about three building blocks. At the bottom is all about the content creation. So you want to have, again, you want to have a content that works across the devices. You want to have content that is reusable. You want to have content that is provides much better UI. So that's where this entire content creations comes in. Now, once the content has been created, it needs to be tied with the loyalty programs or the segmentations of channels to really understand what kind of customers you want to target. And once you target the customers, you want to ensure what kind of actions you want your customers to take, whether it's the payments on the social channels, and that's where the CMO is driving the overall business revenue, or is it more around the brand awareness with the multi-channel content distributions? And once all that is being taken care, how do you automate the process so that this entire process is effective, is repeatable, and it can be done across channels? And once the content is created, content is delivered, and actions are being recorded, on the left-hand side, you start capturing the data. And that's where you start taking actions on those capture data with your command center. And again, it's a very interesting term. Mostly it's being used at the NASA or very critical flight operations like the airlines. But now, and the reason the marketing groups are also calling it a command center, because now CMOs are becoming at the center of customer conversation. So the CMOs are commanding the managing the command center, where they are overseeing the conversations between your organizations and the end customers. And based on those real-time interactions, if there are any actions to be taken, that command center empowers them. And that's what the command center really means. The NASA command center is they continuously monitor the flights. Something does not go as per the plan, what actions to be taken are being taken by the command center on a real-time basis. So that's emphasized the importance of technology in the marketing. And then it's so obviously one is more around what's happening, based on what customers are saying. But how do you predict the customer behavior? And that's where the AI and machine learning plays an important role. Can you predict a customer churn? Can you predict any crisis? As a matter of fact, when we were working with Disney, so we built a predictive social listening model, a social listening command center for them. And there was a lot of the talks from the from the end customers in terms of delay in the trip and delay in the reaching to the ride. And that really helped them measure the customer satisfactions. And the command center was able to take some predictive actions because of continuous listening to those social channels. A single view of the data, again, it's being consumed across channels. So it's very, very important that single view of customer data is available across the enterprise. Now, in terms of the building so in the previous slide, it was all about the building blocks. In this slide, okay, now these are the 3 important building blocks I need to deliver to my organizations, to my CEO, or to my end customer. How do I deliver those 3 blocks? And that's what is achieved through a zero moment of truth. And not sure if you're already aware of this term, but it was coined by Google. And what it really means is a zero moment of truth is when the end customers is being aware about the brand, but they have not taken any actions. So before any action is being taken, how do you build a connections with your end customer, or with your how a brand builds a connections with their customer before customer takes any actions is what zero moment of truth really means. And I think that's where a lot of MarTech or this integrated digital marketing solutions these companies are aiming for. And again, how do you really build that solution? So obviously the customer segmentation at the top, at the customer segmentation, we talk about the personalizations, what kind of a customer profiles we need to target, what's their locations, multi-format content. So there is a lot of MarTech firms, they provide same content that can be easily delivered across the devices in order to make the entire solution scalable, it has to be on the cloud with computing is to be delivered as a SaaS solution. And more of a building the marketing content. So how do you automate the entire process so that the content or the process of creating and the running the campaigns can be automated, and then with a single click they are delivering these campaigns across channels on the online socials as well as the blogs or the email marketing, and then taking back the feedback and then reporting that feedback into the dashboard for some marketing effectiveness. So that's what the overall closed loop really means. We start with the identifying or selecting a profile or selecting a customer segment, building a content around those campaigns or around those profiles, building a solutions around the cloud technologies, and then automating and delivering, and then at the end seeking feedback not just through one channel but across all the channels, and then reporting it back for the marketing effectiveness. Okay, now quickly onto the marketing analytics. So we talk about, just give me a minute. So yeah, we talk about the marketing analytics. So in terms of how do you really make sense of customer data in the digital world? And I think that's the, so until now, again, if I start stitching together all the pieces, we talk about transformations, we talk about the challenges, we talk about what the solution is, we talk about what is being delivered as part of the campaigns to the social world. But once that is done, you have data being captured through different channels, or you have the customer data. But how do you really make sense out of the customer data? So there has been there has been different categories, but broadly, in order to make the overall ROI measurements, or in order to make the digital marketing effectiveness, there are 5 broader categories: social media listening, content analysis, search analytics, engagement, and the customer analytics. Social media, and again, we briefly talk about that in the past as well, where how do you listen to what your customers are saying? That's what how do you listen to what your customers are saying? Content analysis, how do you listen to what content is being posted, or who are the, what kind of, what are the sentiments around those contents? What is being searched on the on the social channels? How empowered the overall community is? Who are the influencers? Who are the negative influencers? And then the customer analytics in terms of what's the demographics, what's their location, how frequently do they interact with the brand, when they interact with the brand, what kind of a request they have. But in order to really make sense out of a data, it's very, very important that the enterprise is important, and that's where the CMOs are spending a lot of time in terms of data capture. Because in order to make some sense of the data, it's very, very important your data is clean, your data is governed, it's qualified, and that's, it goes across all the categories of digital marketing effectiveness. Now, but you cannot, marketing cannot take actions, and that's where the new role for CMOs, they have to work with the other groups within the organizations. It's just no longer working in silos. So how do you integrate the data with the other data sources like the Salesforce? How do you, based on what customers are posting, or based on the weather forecast that that is being projected on the social channels, how do you improve some kind of Salesforce channels? Maybe what kind of predictions you might see for a new product based on new weather forecast. So if a rain is coming, there is a high possibility that people may order some take home, they may request for take home food. or they will, maybe wipers in a car, they have a high chances of ordering. So, or the e-commerce or the online orders will go up. So how do you really integrate what you are seeing on a social channels with the rest of the organizations to ensure the efficiency is being delivered? Device agnostic content, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's very, very important. And the user interface, because we all talk about customer experience. The customers are interacting with the brand across devices. So we just cannot have a disparate user interface across devices. So how do we really provide a consistent user interface? Now what I'm going to do in the 2 slides, briefly talk about 2 of these categories, that how it can be delivered, and then we'll see. Sorry, I think there was one more slide. So in terms of the metrics, and again, this may vary based on the industry you are from, based on the priorities CEO has for the organizations. But most of the times, and this is a survey from Adobe, what they have found out, there are different, whether the metrics are relevant or metrics are important. But most of the times they say conversion rate is relevant as well as the most important thing. While for the other metrics, there might be some some variance. But whether it's a conversion rate, that how customer is, whether a lead is converting into a sale, is a very strong measurement for the marketing effectiveness. What kind of a unique visitors are you getting, and that's very, very important in terms of showing the growth or showing the likeliness of the brand across the world. Do you have return visitors? What kind of and that's where the community brings in, the community piece brings in. Do you have loyal customers who are coming again and again? How much time they are really spending on your with your brand? Because the more time they spend, more time, more engaged they're going to be with the brand. And then, the other metrics that we're going to talk about. So yes, this is what I want to talk about. So this is just a brief example of how the social media listings can be delivered by the marketing organizations. So again, you have the data across the social channels, blogs, networks, forums, obviously all these social channels, and this could be in a different format. So it could be image, it could be text, it could be email. So all that is a different content, different devices. And that's where the second is more around, but not all data will be relevant. And that's again, one of the most important takeaway for marketers. There is just so much of a data in the social world. You just can't react to each and every event, but also you can't ignore each and every event. So how do you really signal out noise from the actual messaging? So that's the most important parameter. And I think that's where technology is helping marketers to segment what really is a noise and what really is a critical feedback to the organization. So you get the feedback. After that, it's important to integrate that feedback with the rest of the groups within the organizations, whether the feedback is related to the product is not working, or product is much better than rest of the organization, the pricing, or even there is a feedback around the marketing. So all that has to be taken, or all that has to be shared with the respective groups. And that's where the efficacy of these marketing campaigns puts in. So once you once you share the data with those groups, you incorporate that feedback for the future strategies, for future plannings, to ensure whether it's new product development, whether it's new pricing strategies, or its overall reputation management is being taken care by the organization. So second, it's more around the customer, the analytics. It's all around the the data collections. So, sorry, so you have these products, but with going back to this flow, you have the data that is being captured. Aurora, again, if I could just summarize from here, so you have the data that is being generated across the solutions. Oops. Sorry. From that slide. So you have this data that is being generated. You collect the data, but you build the AI machine learning or the reporting models to really identify what products are being bought by the customers. Where are they buying? When are they buying? As a matter of fact, there is an important study in terms of what, and I'm pretty sure you all have already seen it or have heard about that how the recommendations channel works on Amazon, and not just Amazon, everywhere. So that's where it's more around. So recommendation is just not about selling more, but also having that prescriptive approach to the customers, that this is what you should buy based on our engagement with you, based on our understanding of your profiles. And I think that's where this entire analytics plays an important role. What products, where are they buying? What's their motivations? Where are they actually buying? And who are the influencers? Are they recommending something else, or is there any cross-sell, upsell opportunity? Based on the customer interactions with us. So if I could, summarize, in everything into, in terms of the takeaway, obviously there are some challenges. There are questions being asked that how do you deliver a marketing ROI? But those challenges could be an opportunity for CMOs, and that's where these CMOs are leveraging technology. One is the most important aspect in the digital marketing is your attention span with the customers is very minimal. So how do you build a loyal customer base? And any actions you take has to be centered around that, because the more loyal customer you have, more engagements you will have with the customer. That's just given. So that's very, very important. And in order to build a loyalty, because those customers could be interacting with you across channels, across devices. So how do you really build an experience which is device agnostic, or which is much more suited for mobile apps? As a matter of fact, there was a study that the overall internet, the users, they have almost like 5.1 billion. 90% of them, they interact with brands through the mobile app. So that's just given. So the overall experience has to be around those. And then use these social medias as the engagement channels. So in terms of driving interactions between the brand and the customer. Integrated software to manage customer lifecycle based on real-time events. And I emphasize on the real-time events. So what does it really mean? So it's not about who the customer is. It's also about what feedback they are providing and what actions that are being taken on a real-time basis. And just to give an example, so Delta, so they generally so they use this digital marketing or this entire social listening piece very seriously. So if the flights are delayed, they provide some feedback in terms of flights are delayed. And if someone reaches to the customer or to the social listening command center with the updates on their baggage, with the updates on their flights, they provide real-time events rather than just taking one-way feedback. So based on what customer is asking, how do you provide a real-time so that there is a much better engagement? As a matter of fact, AT&T, I forgot to mention them earlier. They also use this real-time events for building a loyal customer base. And as and when when customers in order to determine a customer churn. So when when a customer calls the customer operations group or the operations groups asking for some sharing some complaints about what's not working, what's working, uh, the solutions make some real-time profile assessments on what's the probability of customer churn, or this customer is opting out of the telecommunications or their service. So that's very, very important. Monitor brand wise.
Arun, sorry to disturb. Yeah, I think you're going on time. Okay, it's perfectly fine. So you can take maybe five or 10 more minutes.
Okay.
And,
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
you. Just to add a bit, this Delta was not the Delta strain, right?
Yeah.
This was
It's
Delta
not
Airlines.
Yes. Okay. I did not know about Delta Stream. So yeah.
Certainly,
Yeah. Okay. So monitor brand via social media, and again that's where I think the most important aspect is for as a marketer is who are the influencers for your brand in those communities. So again, going back to the first point, you build a loyal base, but it cannot be a one-day activity. In order to build a loyal base, you first need to identify the influencers. You need to interact with those influencers across channels, across devices, having that kind of a real-time interactions. And once you have the influencers, there are more and more user base start joining your community. And that's where the predictive technology helps predict customer behavior. And once you you have with the social listening, with interactions with the customers on the social channels, there is a lot of data that marketing team is generating. How do you integrate that data with the rest of enterprise applications? What is being sold, what products are being designed, and all that feedback will help you determine the marketing effectiveness. Last but not the least, the social commerce. How do you directly sell? This social commerce. So that's becoming very interesting. Amazon has recently started. I think they also started recently at India, where there is some social commerce aspect where you're directly buying or having that kind of a promotions on the social channels and purchasing directly from there. So how do you monetize that? It's becoming more and more relevant. Okay, I think this is my last slide, and again I just kept it in case there is the interest. As I mentioned, technology is becoming critical for the marketing organizations, but how do you put all the pieces together? You have the brand personnels, for those brands. You have your consumers who are across the social channels. Sometimes you work with agencies or the digital properties, and then the operation support group. And so at the top, you have different personas who are involved in this kind of in this landscape. At the bottom, you have the technology footprint, which is in terms of platforms or the services team delivering the those solutions. So and then those solutions needs to be hosted, or they needs to be deployed somewhere, and that's where the left hand side comes in. On the right hand side, it's more around the data being shared across the enterprise applications. That's where the content and the data comes in. The identity and the security, again, a very, very important component, as I mentioned, from a compliance perspective. How do you make your data secure? How do you ensure you are promoting what you are allowed to promote in those geographies? How do you ensure data is in compliance with GDPR in those European regions? And then it's integrated with your CRM or your overall marketing research, or your the campaign automation system. So, and then all being the feedback from the public websites. So these were on the right hand side. At the center, we have the marketing analytics in terms of or the consumer analytics in terms of how do you do a customer segmentations, how do you deliver a personalizations, consumer insights. And these are different applications tools that I have listed down. Again, there are many, they're just a few I have just listed, but then you leverage these applications to build your entire application landscape. It's hosted on some technology platform, and then it's being managed by the services team. It's integrated with your rest of the enterprise applications. It's consumed by different personas, and then you continuously build, listen, and that's where the social listening part comes in. Understand comes in terms of the marketing analytics, and then you engage, you have that kind of a real-time interactions with your consumers, and deliver long-lasting experience to your customer. So that's what this is all about. I think this is my last slide. Okay, yeah. Let me take a pause and see if there are any questions, comments. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, I think Anika has raised hand. So go ahead.
First of all, I would like to thank you, sir, for actually making us aware about the thin line difference between the terms like digitalization and digital transformation. So my question to you is, so nowadays, social media apps like Instagram provides the users with insights as an accounts reached or the engagement. So can these insights be used to segment the customers or to draw some conclusions about the engagement of the brand or the influencer with the customers?
Absolutely, yes. So and that's and I think that's where the integration piece comes in. Can it be done? Absolutely, it can be done. But how do you segment what? Because, and let's just take an example. You are the brand manager for Honda. Just an so obviously, and you talk about the Instagram, right? So let's assume Instagram provides some kind of an insights on how the customers are interacting with the Honda brand, or how the customers are sharing their feedback about Honda on Instagram. But then that's the Instagram feedback. Ultimately, that has to be integrated with the Honda enterprise, because as a Honda, what your products are, who your customers are, what locations you want to invest into. So can it be done by, can they provide? Absolutely, they provide. But the value of a marketer is you take that data, combine it with your rest of enterprise application, so that you get the comprehensive view of who your customers are and what they're talking about Honda at the Instagram. Does it answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I want to ask how AI will affect the employment as implementing AI is like removing human involvement, right?
Yes or no? So it's will it affect the humans? Absolutely, yes. Will it affect the employment? Maybe no. And that's where I said the yes or no. So I think what we really need to do is what does AI ML do? AI ML is all about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the word itself, machine learning, it means you are making machine learn about something that has happened in the past. so that when the same thing happens in future, machine knows how to react. So that's a big difference, So if there are, and maybe that's where I will give a long answer to this question, just to ensure, it's just not a yes or no kind of a response. But and the reason I'm saying, because with the machine learning, if there are any repetitive tasks, yes, those can absolutely be, impacted, or those can absolutely be, managed by the machine learning. But the employment or the AI machine learning will provide an opportunity to employees to learn new skills, to do something which is adding more and more value to the business. And I think that's where this entire session is important, that don't do the monotonous tasks which are repetitive, because if those are repetitive, that can easily be done by machine learning. But if you are doing tasks which are helping you empower your customer, which are helping you engage with your customer, which is helping you, increase the revenue for your organizations, absolutely, those cannot be replaced by, AI machine learning. Those skills are human skills, and that's where the knowledge becomes very critical.
Thank you, sir. And one last thing, for example, if a PGDM student, if an MBA student is doing their MBA with data analytics with marketing as a specialization, can you please explain about the scope of this in outside the India?
Absolutely, and that's where I was. So I think, and it's just not about outside India, within India. The function is a function, or the business function is a business function. So there is, tons of data that is being generated. And if you're not able to make sense out of a data, that data is just a garbage, and I think I without using the other words, but so, and I think that's where the predictive analytics plays an important role, that, how you are able to, clean the data and then provide some recommendations to the customers based on that. And there is a big value organizations have started seeing, obviously outside US, outside India, US has been a big adopter of technology in the marketing world, because it's not about what customers have purchased in the past. I know this is good. This, many organizations wants to know, but more than that, they really want to know what my customer gonna buy tomorrow. What my customer, who will be my customer 3 years from now. So that kind of an insight will help them, make changes to their products. That kind of an insight will help them provide some recommendations to, to their overall brand campaigns. So there is a big demand. As a matter of fact, I would say AI machine learning predictive analytics in digital marketing is one of the top areas. I don't have the numbers, but it's the top skills, at least in US. I'm pretty sure it's also growing up in Europe as well as in India, as many organizations have started seeing benefits, because predictive analytics is all about what's going to happen tomorrow. While I know in the past, marketing effectiveness was taken into how my campaigns have delivered value to the business, but that's not longer the case. What CEO want to really know from the campaigns is, if I'm going to invest 50 million on a campaign, what kind of business benefit I will get from these campaigns. And that's where the predictive analytics plays an important role.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's it.
I think Madhuranti has raised her hand.
Yes, sir, I have a question. Yes, sir.
Madhuranti. Go ahead.
Sir, my question is, sir, like we are seeing that in marketing also everything is get digitalized, but there are very many people also belonging to that particular sector where they are unable to access this digital world. So do you feel that when we are coming into this world of artificial intelligence and machine learning, digital marketing will be also playing a very significant role, even after knowing the fact that consumer is considered to be the king of the market?
So Can you repeat the question just to ensure, I answer what you're asking? So if you can
Yes,
just repeat the question.
sir, like in every market, we consider that consumer is the main target. We need to value the consumers.
Yep.
So when we are talking about digitalization of the marketing also, we can't expect that every sectors or every people are very much concerned about the digital world. So do you think that in this way, the marketing sectors might get affected because every consumers might not be capable to access it?
No, absolutely. And that's going to be a reality. And that's where it's just not about digital marketing. And it's good that you pointed it out. It's more around the integrated, I may have one slide. Let me, yeah, the short answer is yes. Many marketers are understanding that reality, and the reality will be it's going to be an offline and an online world where your customers are going to interact with the brand through different channels. It could be multiple channels within the social or the online space, or it could also be an online or the offline space. And we cannot segregate between these. And that's where it's very, very important to have single view of the data. It doesn't matter how customer is interacting. That's the most important key. As a matter of fact, let me see if I have that slide. So it's in the, there was a slide. Yes, there was a slide, and this is a case study. And in the interest of time, I could not cover it. So they ran this integrated marketing campaigns for a Jeep in US. And what they did, and again, in the interest of time, I'm just gonna emphasize on the values that they ran the campaigns, TV on the, so TV is different kind of a channel. So they ran it on magazine, and they ran it on the online for 3 months. After 3 months, they ran parallelly on the on the 3 channels, and as well as after 3 months, they ran it just on the 2 channels, so like a TV and a magazines. So what they really found that while each of the channels delivered some good brand awareness, omni-channel presence, and that includes your offline as well as online, has a much higher brand awareness, as well as your purchase considerations. Obviously, other channels may also have it, but the highest is omni-channel. So you're absolutely right. That's the new world. And again, one of the reasons why marketers are investing into technology, because so far it has been an marketing to an offline world, but now it's shifting towards the online, and they both continue to stay together. And that's where technology is the new buzzword for marketing, and that's where it's smart tech now. So, does it answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So Arun, does this mean that we really cannot ignore the offline channels? Of course, a lot of people really promote that marketing with analytics is so important, and of course, digital marketing is something which is the most important thing these days. But many times people actually forget that there are a lot of consumers who you can reach only through offline medium. And you can reach even your digital consumers when you combine your offline promotions with online promotions.
Absolutely. And I think that's even if that could be one of the, important takeaway from today's session. So, if somebody just focuses on one channel or digital marketing channel or digital channels, no, absolutely not. That's not what the new world look like. New world will be, will have a presence of offline as well as online. I think what's really important is how brand is interacting with those customers, and that interaction has to be seamless, that has to be consistent, so that brand loyalty can be achieved. But it's absolutely important that the offline channels are not ignored just because everyone is hearing this buzzword called digital transformation. And I think that's where if I go back to that slide, digital transformation, I know it's, everyone hears it, everyone talks about it, but it's all about adding value to your customer. And again, going back to value, and it doesn't mean a channel, it doesn't mean, doesn't mean doing in one certain way. How you are adding value to your business. And sometimes you are, as part of the customer life cycle, customers might be interacting through offline channel with the brand. After a few minutes, they might be interacting with, through an online channel, and that entire life cycle experience has to be consistent, and that's how you deliver a value. So you're absolutely right, Dr. Sharad.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And yeah, keep your questions coming, all the participants. So I think, this is so important that we cannot really forget the fundamentals of marketing, even in this digital world or so-called digital world, where it might not be exactly digital, it might be phygital world. Okay, so physical as well as digital both are actually important. Interesting. Yes. Yes, more questions? Yeah, anyone has more questions? You can ask your questions.
Go ahead, Anmol.
Yeah.
Yes, Anmol.
Good evening, sir. So I wanted to ask, like, for example, in today's time, as we know about digital marketing, but also I came across a word known as marketing consultancy. So are there any softwares or new marketing digital marketing softwares for knowing your customer base?
So, and I can answer this question very easily because, I have worked with these companies. And again, without talking about the companies. So consulting itself, so there will always, are there any products? Absolutely, there are products available, but will it solve the marketing problem for one specific organization? Absolutely not. That has to be discussed with the business objective of that marketing group. That has to be discussed with the business priorities of that marketing group, and then and that's how the marketing consulting derives. So there is no product that will deliver the marketing consulting. It has to be a skill, and I think that's where many companies, consulting companies, Booz Allen, as well as McKinsey and others, they provide that kind of consulting. But then, are there products? Absolutely yes. So when the overall solution is being proposed as part of consulting, those products are part of those solutions. So I don't know if that answered the question. So, are there products? Yes, but they are not full-fledged consulting solution. They will be part of this consulting solution, but there has to be a much broader ecosystem.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Basically, those need to be customized.
Yeah.
They cannot be something like plug and play.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Yes, any more questions? Anyone? Yeah, I think you're asking relevant questions, very important things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask, one selfish question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
On behalf of all the students. See, all these students, they are learning marketing, okay? They are in first year or second year, but these are all MBA students. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you that what should these MBA students focus on, let's say from MarTech perspective? Okay, so like, if they want to build their profile in this area, maybe next 1 year, maybe 2 years. So how should they really, build their capability in this area?
Very good point and good question. So let me see. I have a slide on it. So I think maybe I don't have the slide, but let me try to. But it's a very relevant question, and one, they should really do, and again, I did my MBA from Indian School of Business. So there are 2-3 things which the students can do. One, start learning more around the data, because marketing, is all around. So, whether it's a campaign, whether it's a campaign effectiveness, all those are the words. But in order to make it really effective, what's the real data? As a matter of fact, there is a new saying that data is the new oil. That's what the new machinery is. So in terms of the so in next 1 or 2 years, understand what data really means, and so that's one piece. Second, I would say get into some kind of a tech learning, and again, you don't need to understand what's the entire technology world looks like, but in order to really make it applicable to to the technologies, what are the some good, and I can see if there could be some good technology courses in the MBA schools. So at least have some understanding of technology, because digital transformation is real. There is a 450 billion market in across the world, so it's real. So just because it's technology doesn't mean that the B school students, they don't need to learn, because technology is driving adoptions across different groups. So data, technology, I would say these are the two broader areas where if they get some time, spend, use that time to get more learning. And then obviously within data, the analytics plays an important role. So if there are any tools, if there are any courses which can help, that what does it really means? How do I predict a model, or how do I predict a data? That will be extremely, helpful for the students.
Okay, so that's an interesting answer. In fact, just a very quick follow-up question on that. See, okay, let me give a brief background of our students. See, our students may not be really strong in technology. Okay, unlike an experienced person like you, who had some background in technology. You had worked in so many different IT companies before you actually joined an MBA course. So, our students may not have that strong background in technology, but these days technology is, all pervasive. You really cannot evade it. So in a way, considering their background, how can they prepare themselves for, let's say, a role in MarTech? What kind of things can they do?
Yeah. So there are some, I don't know if there are like a database marketing or data management courses, if those courses are available. That's one. There are some online courses available, Coursera and Udemy. They provide some good informations around data analytics. They talk about MarTech. So I think if those courses are not offered as part of the B school curriculum, the online courses could be helpful. Maybe another thing could be some kind of if there is an internship, participates in some some tech companies. And again, you're not joining a tech company as part of internship to solve a technical problem. You are joining the tech company as an intern to educate them or to learn how technology is solving a business problem, and I think so. I don't know, maybe if that has never been. So internship could be a good way to get more handles or get more exposure to MarTech or technology in the digital marketing field.
Okay, great. So that means our students should one day they can learn different courses which are offered, of course, as part of our course also. Plus, they can also take up technology-related courses on Coursera, Udemy, and other MOOCs as we call. And certainly, I think they should do certain internships. And I think with these days, with the pandemic still going on, a lot of companies actually offer a lot of online internships also these days. So
Absolutely.
this is something which again is an area where students can actually make use of this pandemic, because these days students can do internship with a company that may not be only in India. It may be in US, or it may be in Europe, or somewhere in Australia, New Zealand, anywhere. Okay.
Absolutely. And as part of the internship, the most important area you all should focus on is data. What kind of data is being captured, how the data is being used to deliver insight, not only to internal leadership, but to the external customer base. And I think the understanding of the data will help you achieve great success in digital marketing space.
Okay, great. Any more questions, students? You can ask your questions. Yes, Sejal, go ahead.
Yes, so my question is that since a lot of small businesses have started their businesses on like through social media platforms, like specifically like after the pandemic, so how do you think that Instagram marketing be effective in branding and promotion of their businesses? And will these businesses actually survive through only social media platforms or just through digital platforms?
Yeah. So I don't think I'm in that position to make a comment that whether these small businesses will survive just through the social marketing or not. But just take it in that way. It's such a powerful tool. If I just go 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there was no way a social or a small business would have survived or would have competed against the big organizations because there was no way to market the brand. There was no way to connect to the customers. But now these social platforms provides that opportunity to even to a small businesses so that they can identify the new brands, or they can identify the new customers. They can increase their brand awareness, and it can be just at the click of a few buttons. That was just not possible. So rather than again, not everyone is perfect. So will that make them 100% successful? Maybe no. And maybe that's where this integrated concept, that's very, very important, goes back to the point. It has to be comprehensive. But if it's a small business, someone has to start somewhere. And the social platforms or social marketing is such an important platform because you can start easy. You can start without a lot of cost. And then you can start quickly you start changing the campaigns as and when some feedback is incorporated. So so take that as an opportunity rather than a limitations. That's what my feedback is. But again, will that be comprehensive? No, absolutely not. Because in order for one organizations to be fully successful in marketing space, it has to be integrated offline and online. But you have to start somewhere. As long as there is a vision that will bring all the components into an integrated fashion, that step is a right step. Does it answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to act on something, right? So,
Yes.
Eventually in marketing, unless we act on something, nothing will actually happen.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we have Charu. Yes, Charu, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Sir, like Sejal just talked about marketing on Instagram, I think something very important crossed my mind. Like TikTok was a popular marketing platform and it got banned in India pretty suddenly. Like it was a shock for all the companies and all the people who were growing their business there as well. So, do you think whenever social media being an important part of marketing as it is, But do you think that companies have to be careful about, investing a lot of resources in one particular platform, because something like that might happen again also?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you see the and that's where these sessions are helpful, because running a campaign could be an easy, we all can just jump on a social media, and just create a campaign. But that's not what a successful marketer is. Successful marketer, they really need to understand the regulatory considerations, as I mentioned, right? So, if one channel is successful today, there could be a possibility, it may get banned, or there might be some new policies, new government policies, which can limit the exposure to that social channel. So how do you really make business prepared for those unexpected turns? Again, what may happen tomorrow, nobody on this call can predict. But what we can do, or what a CMO can do in order to prepare the organizations, is take all that into considerations. Data is exploding. Your customer behaviors are changing, but that doesn't mean you need to put all your eggs in one basket. Goes back to the same point, integrated, because it's a fluctuating word. But so yes, so they have to take other channels also into the consideration.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
Question, Charu. Yes, any more? Ask your questions. Yeah. Sejal, another question? Yes, Sejal.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So, is it necessary for all the companies or the brands to have a social media presence? Like, for instance, if there is a manufacturing company, so is it important for them also to have a social media presence?
So again, yes or no, and again goes back to like when I talk about my background, most of the companies I mentioned here are B2C, even though I've also worked with the B2B. And the for B2B, is it is it important? I think going back to the digital transformation, the way the transformation is happening, because digital has provided an opportunity to connect with the end customers, even though many companies could be in B2B space. But obviously the overall the efficacy or overall involvement with the end community will be limited in the B2B space. But is it will that be helpful? Absolutely, yes, that will be helpful. Some of the nuances will be different. Maybe the data will not be as high as it's needed, but it can certainly help them to prepare for future. And just to give an example, so take Adidas or these manufacturers. Their background was they were just selling to retailers, and then the retailers were selling to end customers. So these big companies, the big manufacturers, they were happy selling to retailers. But now all these companies, with the digital transformations, all these companies have come up with like a direct to consumer model, where I can go to Adidas, or I can go to any of these manufacturer website, and I can buy myself. And that's an entirely paradigm shift, because now it's the same product, but Adidas needs to understand who is buying. Adidas needs to understand what's the pricing going to look like. Adidas needs to understand how the return policy may work. And all that cannot be done unless they know how to engage on a social channels with the customer. So will that help them in today? As of today, maybe it may not be as effective, but will it be extremely critical to prepare for some new business decisions? Absolutely, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, any more questions? Okay, so I have one small question, okay, which is something about which I'm a little curious these days. See, we all talk about omni-channel, okay, but how do marketers really keep up with the changing media that consumers actually use for their decision making? So for different stages of their decision making, consumers use different media. So how do
Yeah.
marketers use this information, and then really what do they do with it?
Yeah. So again, sorry, before I answer, when you say how do marketers, like how do they track or how do they use that information to make some future decisions? So in what context you're asking?
Yeah, I'm actually asking both the things, that how can they really track the consumers, let's say across devices or across media, and then how do they use this information?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. So, and I think that's where the single view of data is very, very important. So data is nothing but the customer data, right? So single view of customer. So it's, and that's a reality, I myself have, at least 4 devices with me, and sometimes, and the great examples could be Netflix, so if you ever watch Netflix, it could be you watch an episode on one device, and if you, after 15 minutes, you step out of, let's assume you're watching it on the TV, you step out of a home and you start watching it on your mobile device, Netflix will know that it's the same user, but now it's interacting with the brand through a different device. So they will not restart from the minute 1 of that episode. They will start from where you left at home. So that's where the power of the single view of the data is. And so how they do it, obviously the integrations becomes very, very important. So as and when the consumers are interacting with the brand, all that information is is integrated into the enterprise systems, and then reporting and visualizations help them determine, okay, these are the customers who are interacting with us across multiple devices. So that's where your answer to the first question. So there are absolutely technology available. Now, how do they use it in order to have that kind of a more meaningful conversation? First is to ensure the content that is being distributed, or the marketing content that is being distributed, is device agnostic, because there is a high possibility same marketing content can be consumed on TV, can be consumed or can be viewed on mobile devices or somewhere else. So you, as a marketer, we need to ensure the content is device agnostic. So that's where they use that information, that how end customers are engaging with the brand. That's one. The second is more around depending on the device content or the interactions that they're having. It also helps them segment the customers, how tech savvy the customer is. Do you really have that kind of social elements so that they can become more of an influencers in the social community? So it really helps them segment the customers. So these are the two ways they can use that information. Does it answer the question?
Yes, certainly yes. Okay, great. Any more questions? Or then I know that now we are actually running short of time. Manasvi, fine. So this would be our last question. Yes, Manasvi, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
So, my question would be, how are omni-channels cross-silo and cross-channel nature with the usual funding and resourcing model of an enterprise done? How are they reconciled?
You are breaking up. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. So I was asking, how are omni-channels cross-silo and cross-channel nature with the usual funding and resourcing models of an enterprise done? How is the reconciliation done between the two?
How does the reconciliation done between the omni-channels?
Yes, sir. I mean, like, Suppose an organization is not in the is not functioning in the omni-channel model.
Okay.
The way it generates, the way it operationalizes its resources is different from how it would do in an omni-channel model. So
Okay.
how does it do in the omni-channel model?
Okay. Okay. I would say, one most important, let me see if I have that slide. Yes, maybe this might be able to help. So, and again, even though it talks about digital transformation, but the omni-channel kind of there is a, and again, the channels are channels, whether it's an offline, online. What's really important is channels are ways for brand to interact with the customers. And once that data exchange or those information exchange between the brand and customers have been recorded, how that information is consumed across the enterprise. So that's very, very important. I would say with the omni-channel enterprise, the data flow across the groups is very, very important. So they are not in the silo. So if I would say, there should not be many differences between a company who are just focusing on one and on one channel and the company who focuses across omni channels, except for one big difference, which is around breaking down the silos. In terms of delivering an omni-channel experience, you cannot have channel focusing or like a team focusing on offline. You cannot have team focusing on the Facebook channels. You cannot have a team focusing on Twitter. So it's a one team interacting with the customer, and the ways of interactions are across different channels. So the breaking down of the silos is very, very important in an omni-channel world. Does it answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I understand that you might have some more questions, but okay, taking cognizance of the time, let's move on to the vote of thanks. Ekta, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir, definitely, sir. Thank you, Arun sir, for the today's session. It was very enlightening. You explained the difference between digitalization, and digital transformation, which help us to understand them better. Then you discussed about digital transformation capabilities and how can we monitor brand via social media. Even you talked about the scope of data analytics with marketing sector. After this session, we are now able to understand more about the digital change around us. Like I recently read about Amazon Go stores in US, which is fully AI based. In last, you explained one process that is build, then listen, then understand, and then engage to deliver the long lasting experience to customer. And even we can not ignore the offline marketing channels. I hope we as aspiring management students take forward your thoughts. Even we will look forward to the opportunity to work under you.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. It was great experience interacting with all of you. So good luck to all of you, and feel free to reach out to me with any way I can help you all. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharad.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Arun. In fact, you in fact emphasized a lot of things, and you again emphasized that marketing holds its own value. Okay, in this world of technology, we need to be clear about the fundamentals of marketing. And as Philip Kotler says, that marketing is really value creation. So whether it is one technology or it is no technology, we need to really integrate offline as well as online. So thank you for emphasizing these things, and I'm sure that our students have learned a lot in today's session. And coming directly from somebody who has an experience in digital transformation and marketing analytics, okay, about 2 decades of experience, I think it means a lot. Thank you. And above all, thanks for taking out your time, your precious time. I think this is your family time, but you gave us the time. Thank you. Thanks for your gesture.
Thank you for inviting me. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.